We've got a really packed first show to get things started, including the incredible mystery of the bundles of cash regularly turning up in a small village. This is Crimewatch Roadshow Live. The show where you join the fight against crime. Will you have the vital information police need to crack a case? Your call could be what it takes to put a criminal behind bars.
And I'll be travelling the UK, finding out how police forces are tackling crime where you live.
It's time to catch some crooks. Good morning and welcome back for another series of Crimewatch Roadshow Live. Every weekday for the next 3 weeks we'll be bringing you cases from across the UK and we need your help to solve them. Appeals from last year have already helped police make more than 40 arrests for crimes including assault, murder, fraud, rape and burglary. And this time we're hoping for even more. Our team here in the studio is standing by, ready to hear from you. Remember, your call could be the one that makes all the difference. Here's what's coming up this morning. A savage beating with a golf club.
He had over 50 plus hours of surgery. His body's gone through a massive amount of turmoil.
Police want to speak to this man in connection with the attack. Dog thefts on the rise. Actor Simon Day appeals after his family pet Coco was stolen in a burglary. And what would you do if you found £2,000 in cash lying around? The story of residents who did the right thing not once, but 13 times. Today, Michelle is at the International Fire Training Centre in Darlington, and it certainly looks like you're throwing yourself into things there. Morning, Michelle.
Hi, Rob. Yes, well, I am definitely feeling the heat this morning. I'm glad to get away from that fire. Now, over the next 3 weeks, I'm going to be travelling all around the UK, meeting emergency service teams. And I'm starting here at this specialist fire training centre. This is where officers learn to tackle some of the most extreme blazes imaginable. Everything from chemical spills to plane fires. And make sure you join me later, as I'll be getting to grips with manning the hoses.
Thanks, Michelle. Can't wait for that. First, though, this morning, detectives in Merseyside need your help with a truly shocking crime. And I should warn you, this is a particularly violent case.
Terry Dunn grew up with his family in the Clubmoor area of Liverpool. A keen fisherman, his weekends were often spent on the lake.
We spent a lot of time when we were kids fishing in the local parks. In fact, we would go out on a Friday and we probably wouldn't be back until the Sunday. The Larkhill Park, known as the Ducky. Terry, in his adult life, laid claim to it being his park, that being his lake, because he spent a lot of time there when he was an adult.
Terry was also well known in his local community.
Incredibly generous with his time. He was one of those people that would always do something for you. You know, he would generally give you the shirt off his back if that was the last thing that you needed.
After his mum passed in 2008, Terry found it hard to cope.
They had a very strong bond, and from that he then began drinking. And he drank for escapism to a level where you know, he was vulnerable and he could be taken advantage of by people. He did get up and he did look after himself, but he kind of knew that he didn't have many people around him.
On the 18th of June last year, Terry left his flat in Larkhill Close to make one of his regular journeys to withdraw money from the credit union.
He was on his way into Broadway shopping centre. It's no more than a 15-minute walk. It's a route that he knows well. It's a route that he wouldn't avoid because it's an unsafe route.
At around 20 to 4, he reached Kilrea Close. But little did he know, he was being followed. A witness nearby saw Terry being chased into an alleyway. There, he endured a sustained and brutal beating with a golf club.
I was abroad and I got a phone call. I arrived back into Liverpool approximately around about 9:30 that night, and then I got a taxi straight from the airport straight to the hospital. Incredibly shocking to see, you know, your brother literally lying in a bed, broken. And then obviously when we realised the extent of his injuries, we couldn't understand the ferocity or the brutality of the attack as to why it happened.
Terry was left with a ruptured spleen and multiple shattered bones.
He had over, I think it was 50 plus hours of surgery to put him back together. He was left with life-changing, debilitating injuries.
After 12 long weeks in hospital, Terry finally returned home to continue his recovery, but the attack was still taking its toll.
We had to have several visits back to the mental health unit because he was having flashbacks from the attack. When you combine that with his injuries, his body's gone through a massive amount of turmoil.
The experience proved too much for Terry's body to handle. On the 24th of September, just 2 weeks out of hospital, he suffered a heart attack and died. The post-mortem linked it to his injuries from the attack.
He would have been 4 weeks, 5 weeks later, he would have celebrated his 50th birthday, so he didn't quite reach that milestone.
Happy birthday! 50 today!
We celebrated it for him, albeit low-key. We went to his local park, the Ducky, where he used to love fishing, and we set some balloons off and we had a little bit of a party in there for him. Whilst he wasn't there physically, I'm sure he was there with us in spirit.
Just dreadful, and DI Tracy Martin from Merseyside Police joins me now. Tracy, first of all, just remind us where and when this happened.
Yeah, the attack took place on the 18th of June, approximately 3:35 in the afternoon last year. Terry had left his home address in Larkhill Close and was walking to the local shops on Broadway. He walked past Kilray Close towards the alleyway in Wapshire Road, where witnesses describe him being attacked by a male with what appeared to be a golf club.
I mean, it's truly shocking. A brutal attack happened in broad daylight. Do we have any idea as to why Terry was targeted in this way?
No, we do believe it was a targeted attack. However, we don't know the motive for this attack. Terry was a well-liked member of the community. However, we do believe someone may have held a grudge against him.
Now, you've got some CCTV that you can show us this morning. It was captured in the same area shortly before Terry was attacked. We're going to have a look at it now. Just talk us through what we're seeing here, Tracy.
Yeah, so CCTV was taken from Kilray Lodge, which is about 100 metres from where the attack took place. It shows Terry walk past, a short time later followed by a male. This male appears to be holding something. He does stop and appears to tuck his shoelaces into his shoes. A short time later, this male is seen walking back in the opposite direction.
And there's another key witness that you're keen to try and track down as well, isn't there?
Yeah, there is another male which passes Terry and the other male on the CCTV. However, we've never been able to speak to this male. If it is you or you do know who it is, if you get in touch with us, because you could hold vital information as to what's happened.
We heard from Terry's brother in the film there. Clearly a devastating ordeal for him to go through. How's he doing? How's the rest of the family doing?
Yeah, all of Terry's family are obviously understandably upset. However, they just want answers answers at the moment. If you do have any information, if you could get in touch with us through the MIP, which is mipp.police.uk, and click on the Merseyside icon.
Tracy, thanks very much. We'll catch up with you again a little later on in the programme. If you can help with this case, you know what to do. Please make sure you get in touch with us. Ralph.
This really was a senseless attack, and detectives do need to identify that key individual seen in the area at around the time of the incident. Take another look now. If you recognise him, the number to call is 08000 468 999. That's free from landlines and mobile phones. Here's hoping someone watching can help. Time now for our first CCTV appeal of the series. And today, detectives from the Met Police want your help to catch the person behind a brazen distraction theft at an East London school. Let's have a watch.
The day's only just begun at this secondary school in Tower Hamlets. But this man at reception appears to be a bit lost. He grabs a leaflet before going into the reception office unannounced. He starts waving the document at the receptionist and asks her to take a closer look. The man seems to have got the answers he needed and makes a hasty exit. But wait a minute, what's that in his hand? Let's see that again. Watch closely as he cheats this woman out of her £400 mobile phone. He seems to be asking for help, but that leaflet in his hand is more than just a distraction. He uses it to cover the phone before tucking it inside the folded paper. Then off he goes, with her mobile in his hand.
Well, there he is, but can you name him? That distraction theft happened so quickly, the victim didn't even realise she'd been targeted until it was all over. They say the man was of Mediterranean or Eastern European heritage and spoke with a Romanian or Albanian accent, and also wore large black-rimmed spectacles. The cameras did get that clear shot of his face, so do take a good long look. And of course, if you can name him, you know what to do. As well as calling the number on screen, you can also text us 63399, text the word crime, leave a space, then write your message. Text will be charged at your standard message rate. Or, of course, you can send us an email. That's the address there, cwr@bbc.co.uk. Lots more to come this morning, including, I think they're going to have you back. Now, every year, thousands of people endure the trauma of losing a family pet to dog thieves. At least 5 dogs are stolen every day in the UK, and one person who's experienced firsthand is actor and comedian Simon Day, who joins me now. Simon, tell us what happened. This really is just an awful story.
Yeah, it was a burglary at night. We were asleep, obviously. They got in the front door somehow and they took they took the car keys, they grabbed a load of bags, coats, and they took our puppy Coco.
I mean, it's just unimaginable, Simon. This happened in November the 26th of last year, so just a few months ago. You're asleep, and this is in Willesden Green in London, and this is Coco, your little dog at the time, which must... When you found out that Coco was missing...
Yeah, it was... well, we you know, obviously we had to tell the kids, and I ran down to the park to try and find her, but no avail. We did lots of different searches and...
Well, we can see some footage of Coco. Now, let's just tell our viewers what the dog is. It's a distinctive breed,
isn't it? It's a Jack Russell pug. She's got great big eyes. She's like a little film star, you know, and people would just constantly come up to me and say, "What's your dog? What's your dog? What's this dog?" You know, and it was almost overwhelming, the amount of people that were talking to me.
I can imagine. And at the time that she was taken, she was about 9 months old. She'd be about a year old now.
Yeah, she'd be coming up to a year.
So she's Jack Russell crossed with a pug, and very, very timid. Probably wouldn't have barked if she was taken.
Not timid, I would say. Once she got going, but she doesn't bark a lot. And she's very, very sort of trusting, and she's got a lovely soul, you know.
So really, we're just appealing to anyone who may have seen this dog, Coco, perhaps up for sale, and if you know where it is, you desperately want to get her back.
We'd love to, yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us. Well, I can tell you that the Met Police say this is very much an ongoing investigation, and anyone with information about the break-in or, of course, Coco's whereabouts can ring 101 or the numbers on screen now. Thankfully, Coco was microchipped, though, which really improves the chances of her being reunited with her owners. And Rachel, you're from the Dogs Trust. You're going to tell us a bit about microchipping. We've got Harry here and his owner, Peter. Thank you for joining us. So tell us what the microchip is.
So microchipping has been a legal requirement for dogs since 2016, and a microchip is just a really tiny little electronic chip which
just as you're explaining it, I've got one in my hand here. If we can just zoom in on that. It really is about the size of a grain of rice, isn't it?
That's right, yeah, it's really tiny, but it contains a unique number, and if you put that number into a database, you'll be able to see all the contact details that the owner has entered for that dog.
OK, so the chip just goes under the skin of the dog. You're going to demonstrate on Harry here how you would scan for one of these.
So you probably heard that beep.
We heard a little beep, yeah.
Yeah, and on the scanner there is a long number.
And we can see that number. Now, that is what you would use to get all the information the owner's got, such as their address, their telephone number, contact details.
Exactly.
Obviously, it's important to keep that up to date.
Absolutely, really
But if anyone
important.
is out and about and does see a stray dog, what could they then do?
Yeah, I mean, well, if you feel it's safe to approach the dog, you can check if it's got a collar and tag first of all, because that's a great way to get it straight back to owner. If not, you need to contact your local authority dog warden. They will hopefully come and collect the dog, and obviously they've got a scanner. They can check for a microchip and do their best to reunite it with its owner.
Oh, and hopefully that will happen. Well, thank you all for joining us. And Harry, thank you for behaving. Let's go back now to Michelle.
Next today, when thousands of pounds in cash kept turning up in a small mining village not far from here, police feared the worst. Could it be drugs money, organised crime, or something more sinister? Well, DC John Forster from Durham Constabulary joins me now, because, John, you've actually got this amazing story of how you got to the bottom of a 6-year-long whodunit. So how did you come across these mystery bundles in the first place?
Yeah, it is a quirky story. I was at work Saturday morning. A lady came into the front office at Peterlee Police Station. A little bit confused, to be honest. She'd found £2,000. I was doing the usual checks, just taking details. But the lady who works in the front office had told me that there'd been previous ones. There'd been about 8 previous, which obviously I thought that's more than a coincidence. There must be more to it.
Yeah, so what did you discover?
Well, when I look back, they're all exactly the same. It was the same amount of money, all in this tiny little village, Blackhall Colliery, just left on the pavement for people to find. So obviously I thought, you know, we need to do some checks just to find out if is it connected to money laundering, is it some criminal activity, or is it a vulnerable person who's just losing this money?
I can imagine those were your original theories of where the money might be coming from.
Yeah, obviously I had to do the checks. I mean, we did all the CCTV, we asked around local banks, local post offices. I even had some of the bundles fingerprinted, but got absolutely nowhere. So eventually we thought we'll go public just to see if we can get some information to come in.
And what happened next?
Well, that was amazing actually, because the village was, you know, it was a media interest. It really caught the public's imagination. We had a lot of interest internationally, really. And eventually we did get a break. We got some people to come forward to say that it had been a deliberate act, that they had been leaving the money purposely for people to find.
So it's like a random act of kindness?
Amazing. I think they say they're really private, they absolutely don't want any publicity, but they say that it's an emotional connection with Blackhall Colliery, and somehow they wanted to give something back to that community. So yeah, an absolute amazing story, but a deliberate act. They wanted people to find it, they wanted people to find this money and just spend it and enjoy it.
Wow, and we still don't know who these 2 people are, do we?
Yeah, that's the amazing thing, because they've got in touch with a gentleman at headquarters who I know very well, but they're so private they don't want to meet with me. So we've had to trust that, you know, the checks that we've done, we're happy that it is them, but absolutely they just guarded about their privacy, so don't want to come forward at all.
John, really incredible. I've never heard a story like it. Thanks so much. It really does restore your faith in humankind, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a great little story.
Really good story, Rav.
Thanks, Michelle. Now it's time for a look at the first wanted faces of the series. And first up is 45-year-old John Riley here. He was jailed for 10 years for drug dealing and later released on licence, but he's failed to stick to the conditions and is now wanted back inside. The Liverpudlian has links across Scotland, the Netherlands, Spain and Colombia. He's described as dangerous, so if you know where he is, don't approach him, just dial 999. Second, do you know this man? This is Ayugar Marizai, although he also uses the name Tony Elton. Detectives want to speak to him in connection with the murder of a man at a house in Hartlepool last year. The 29-year-old is originally from Albania. He's 5'5" tall, has links across Cleveland, Bolton, Sheffield and also London. Third today is this man. This is Yin Di Pan. Detectives from the Garda in Ireland want to speak to him in connection with an attack in which boiling oil was thrown over a woman's back and neck. They believe the 51-year-old may now be working as a chef in a Chinese restaurant or visiting casinos. Originally from China, he has links now to Birmingham and is missing his 2 front teeth but wears dentures. And finally for today, we have Joshua O'Neill, although he also uses the names Scott Mason or James McLaughlin. He was jailed for 5 years for a weapons offence and later released on licence, but officers say he's now breached his conditions and is wanted back in jail. The 24-year-old has a scar on his right hand. He's 5'4" tall and has links to the Wirral, Barton upon Humber, St Helens, Lancashire and Devon. Now he shouldn't be approached, so if you know where he is, just dial 999. So if you know where any of these faces are, make sure you get in touch using the numbers on screen. Now, last year we asked for your help after an elderly woman was caught up in a terrifying criminal feud. Straight after that appeal, a crucial call came in from one of our viewers, but detectives were unable to get back in contact with her. Today, we're re-showing that film with a direct appeal from the investigation team for that viewer to please get back in touch.
On the 2nd of April last year, 67-year-old Judith was driving her VW Tiguan along a country road near Epworth in North Lincolnshire. Travelling ahead of her was a white Ford Luton van.
She noticed, travelling in the opposite direction, a silver Volvo estate.
Suddenly, the Volvo veered across the path of the van as if trying to stop it. But the van collided with the Volvo, driving it off the road before speeding off.
The Ford Luton van did a 3-point turn back past her.
At that point, 3 men got out of the Volvo and 1 ran over to Judith's car.
One of those occupants identified himself as Patrick, claiming to be a police officer, requested our victim to move across to the passenger seat, and the 2 other males got into the rear of the vehicle.
They told her the occupants of the van were wanted criminals. They needed to pursue them using her car.
They've then gone at speed and followed the white Ford Luton van down a number of country roads. The van swayed across the road repeatedly, almost as if it was preventing the Tiguan from overtaking it.
The chase continued for 5 miles until they reached a junction.
As they approached the junction, the Ford Luton van came to a stop.
Judith's car pulled up alongside the van. Then events took a horrifying turn. The shot was aimed at the men in the back of the car.
I don't believe that they were expecting that the driver would fire at them. I think it's more by luck than judgment that nobody was fatally injured as a result of that.
The van pulled away. And Judith's nightmare continued.
The driver handed some wet wipes that were already in that vehicle and some water to the 2 occupants in the rear to clean the rear of the vehicle. It would suggest that these individuals clearly know what they're doing. They are very well organised and they're forensically aware.
The chase reached a junction where the van turned right. But instead of following it, the driver of Judith's car took a left towards Epworth. There, Judith was driven to an estate where the men took off. She was left terrified and utterly confused by what had just taken place.
Next time that we have the white Ford Luton van is when it enters ANPR cameras and is caught on CCTV at Meadowhall Shopping Centre near Sheffield.
The driver of the van and an accomplice appear to abandon the vehicle. And within minutes are filmed on CCTV inside the shopping centre. The three men suspected of hijacking Judith's car were pictured on the housing estate in Epworth immediately after they left her.
We're looking at two very, very serious offences. One of attempt murder and one of kidnap. Both carry life imprisonment sentences. They need to be off the streets. They need to answer for their actions on the day.
This police photo shows where the bullets hit the car, narrowly missing the passengers. What happened has had a lasting impact on Judith.
I think anybody in the position of the victim would have been completely terrified. Not knowing who you're actually chasing, not knowing any of the individuals in the vehicle, being shot at, and driving at excessive speeds. I think our victim probably didn't have an opportunity to settle to realise how much danger she was in and how things could have happened very, very differently.
So frightening, and obviously we've changed the victim's name in the film there to protect her identity. DS Nikki Burnett from Humberside Police joins me now. Quite a complicated case, this one, isn't it, Nikki? Remind me of the details.
So it happened about 3 p.m. on the 2nd of April last year. The victim was driving along a quiet country lane when she saw a white Luton van ram a silver Volvo from the road. She stopped to see if they were okay, so then the occupants of the silver Volvo then commandeered her vehicle. What followed then was what was a terrifyingly high-speed car chase throughout the countryside, which resulted in the victim and her vehicle being abandoned in Epworth.
Really terrifying. And the chase went on, didn't it?
It did. After the vehicle had been abandoned, we know that a third vehicle joined the chase. This was a silver Renault Master van. We believe that the occupants of the Master van were known to the white van and they possibly called them in as backup.
Where did the pursuit end?
So the silver van was last sighted on the M18 when it triggered an ANPR camera. Unfortunately, there were no further sightings from there. The white van was tracked to Meadowhall Shopping Centre in Sheffield. There, the vehicle was parked up and the occupants made off on foot.
Now, you've actually got some really clear images, haven't you, Nikki, on CCTV of a man you want to identify. We can have a look at that now. Talk us through what we're seeing.
Yes, so the footage is really clear. It shows the two men entering Meadowhall Shopping Centre on foot, and we're particularly interested in identifying the male on the right.
And what about the men that got into the victim's car?
OK, so they were caught on CCTV camera in Epworth after they walked away from the vehicle. Now, that footage isn't quite as clear. However, the victim did get quite a good look at the male who got into the front of her vehicle. He introduced himself as Patrick, and she describes him as a white male, aged in his 40s, about 5'9" tall, with short, mousy blonde hair and facial stubble. She says that he was quite well spoken and spoke with a Yorkshire accent.
And finally, we hear that there's one person in particular that you're very keen to hear back from.
Yeah, there was a lady who called Crimewatch Roadshow following the initial appeal. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to contact her again. So we'd really urge her to make contact because we feel that she possibly holds vital information.
Nikki, thanks very much. If that's you or you can help with any information on this case, please get in touch with us.
Yeah, really frightening. Yeah, just time for a quick look at what's been coming in on the calls, texts and emails. Some good calls already today, but as we mentioned earlier, thanks to your help, there was some really great results on last year's series, including this one. In September, we showed you this footage of a man in Kent Police wanted to talk to about suspected courier fraud targeting a woman in her 90s. Well, straight after the appeal, you got in touch and named him as 19-year-old Ben Lee, but things didn't stop there. Just a few days later, we put him back on your screens as part of our Wanted Faces lineup. Yet again, you did didn't disappoint. Callers to the programme gave detectives all the information they needed to find and arrest Lee. And there's more, because after seeing the appeal on Crimewatch Roadshow, a vulnerable viewer also rang police to say Ben Lee had defrauded her out of a large sum of money for doing minor building works. Detectives charged him with both offences. He pleaded guilty to both and was jailed for 16 months. A great result, and goes to show that your calls really can make a difference. Do keep them coming in. Michelle, how's things with you in Darlington?
Promising calls coming in here too, Rav. Earlier, we asked for your help to catch the person responsible for the murder of Terry Dunn in Merseyside. DI Tracy Martin is with us again. So just remind us what you need help with today, Tracy.
Yeah, we're just appealing for anyone who's got any information on the attack that took place on Terry on the 18th of June, approximately 3:35 p.m. last year. Anyone that's got any information as to why it would have happened, or anyone that may have had a grudge against Terry, and also any information in relation to the male on the CCTV, if they could get in touch with us, that would be great.
Tracy, thanks very much. As we said there, it's been a terrible time for Terry's family, so any answers on this one, you're keen to hear from people?
Yeah, any information at all. Obviously, we want to give that bit of closure to Terry's family, and so anything we'll be grateful for.
Tracy, thanks very much. As ever, make sure you get in contact with us if you can help. Now, that is it from me here in Darlington. Tomorrow, I'm going to be heading over to North Yorkshire, looking into the challenges of policing a large rural force. I'll also be finding out about the criminals who are killing protected birds using lethal poisons and illegal traps. It's going to be a busy morning.
Thanks, Michelle. For more details about the crimes on today's programme, go to our website. But before we do go, here's another look at this morning's wanted faces. If any of them look familiar, pick up the phone and tell us where they are. We're going to be back tomorrow morning, same time, 9:15. Until then, do take care. Bye-bye.